Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Random Live number 68, Patty's Day. It is Thursday, March 17th, 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Cindy says corned beef. Everyone should eat corned beef around St. Patty's Day. I haven't eaten any yet, but I plan on trying to make that happen within a day or two. The most used answer at Nikki's B-Day Bash trivia game. Yep. Welcome to the chat, Cindy and Sandra. How y'all doing? Yep. A lot of people, they just use St. Patrick's Day as an excuse to drink for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. I just thought this thing was neat. But it comes with an interesting article and some video, so I thought maybe we'd look at it. The Karlingford Leprechauns protected by the European Union, but are they real? This is several years old, but still, it's kind of neat. It says, let me see if yeah, I guess that's fine. Along with the harp and St. Patrick, leprechauns have become iconic of Ireland. These mischievous fairies, with their green coats and hats, pots of gold at the edge of rainbows, and promise of 3 wishes if captured, are still popular, even though most people consider them to simply be a legend. There are, however, some people, mostly in Ireland, who believe firmly that leprechauns exist today or that they existed in the past. They are believed to have been among the fairies that lived in prehistoric fairy mounds and fairy circles that are found across the British Isles, especially those in Ireland. One example of this would be the strange tale of the Karlingford leprechauns, who are in fact a protected species in the European Union. The origins of the hunt. The story all began in 1989 with a man by the name of P.J. O'Hare. O'Hare was tending his garden when he heard a scream coming from the nearby Foy Mountain in Mourne Mountain Range. He rushed up the mountain to find something that astonished him: scorched earth and charred bones, surrounded by a green suit, hat, and several other items. These were all of very small size, including the skeletal remains. He also found 4 gold coins. He became convinced that these items belonged to a genuine, albeit now deceased, leprechaun. He placed all the items inside a glass box at his pub, where they remain to this day. These are supposedly the remains of a leprechaun, and the gold coins. Some of the people of Karlingford believe him, while others didn't. One of his friends who didn't believe McCoylty wanted to find out whether there really were leprechauns in the area, so he arranged a leprechaun hunt in which he hid 5 ceramic leprechauns and 1,000 Irish pounds of prize money under each for anyone who could find them. McCoylty, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, reasoned that in looking for the ceramic leprechauns, one of the hunters might accidentally come across a real leprechaun. There were no such sightings. The hunt is now done every year in March on a Sunday beginning at 2 p.m. So far, no genuine little folk have turned up from these annual hunts as far as the author is aware. I guess that's Karlingford. After O'Hare died, the remains of the items purportedly belonging to a leprechaun remained in the pub, which was sold, except for the 4 gold coins which went missing. However, these coins were found a few years later in a purse discovered within a stone wall near McCoylt's house. McCoylt was repairing the wall when he came across it. After receiving the items, McCoylt began to have encounters with leprechauns too. His first leprechaun encounter was one day when he was walking his dog through the nearby mountains. While walking, he saw the 3 leprechauns sitting on a rock. They did not take notice of McCoylt, who, along with his dog, were paralyzed and could not move for several minutes until the leprechauns disappeared under the rock. When McCoylt returned home, he was interrogated by his wife as to where he had been. He insisted that he had only been gone for about an hour and a half. His wife then informed him that he had been gone for over 7 hours. It was midday when he had gone out. It was now 8 o'clock in the evening. After this, McCoylt became a firm believer in leprechauns. They do here. What do here? I'm not sure. They do here. What that means? Cindy says a good little tale.
Well, what happened was about 20 years ago, it was 20 years ago, the local publican here, P.J. O'Hare, who's since gone to his reward, he was an auctioneer and he was a county councillor and a businessman. He owned this pub here that you're standing in at the moment.
Can y'all hear that at all?
He was selling
I
property to a man on the mountain in American. And he heard a scream coming from the area of the wishing well, which is on Salisbury in Karlingford. And he went over to investigate. And when he went over, he found what you see here is soup and the bones, which are over here. And in the pocket of the soup, there were 4 gold coins. And beside
Well, I don't know. Let me see if I can get this to pop up. Looks like it will. Okay. I'll read the rest of this article first. The Karlingford Leprechauns are an endangered species. McCoylt had several other encounters with leprechauns, including one with a leprechaun who called himself Carriage, who claimed to be an elder of 236 leprechauns who lived in the nearby mountain. Carriage told McCoylt that he and the other leprechauns with him were the last of their kind and that there used to be millions of them on the island. When asked where they had all gone, the aged fairy responded that they had all died out because people had stopped believing in them. Ruthless says, "Oh, and ox tongue tastes like corned beef, just saying." Welcome to the chat, Ruthless. I applying screen time today. I have no idea what that means, Ruthless. But what's up? I don't think that's the end of this. Everyone had stopped believing in them. After this, McQuilt and like-minded individuals began to campaign for the mountain that was home to the leprechauns to be made a protected area by the European Union. His wish was finally granted in 2009 when it was made into a preserve under the EU Habitats Directive. The EU officials agreed to add the leprechauns as a protected species because they could not prove nor disprove their existence. Today, Karlingford has a folklore park and other attractions to celebrate the leprechauns who are believed to live in their mountains. Authenticity issues of leprechauns. Although some people are firm believers that the Karlingford leprechauns are real, there has been little attempt to determine the authenticity of the claims surrounding them, although we can not really prove or disprove the existence of leprechauns or other supernatural creatures in general. We can evaluate the likelihood of these anecdotes and items being from genuine leprechauns. One issue is that none of the clothing or other items found have been examined by experts or to determine if they are genuinely ancient. The bones also have not been tested to see what type of bones they are or if they even originally belong to a small hominid-like creature such as a leprechaun. Until some tests are done, we can't say for certain that the findings are genuine, though to be fair, we also can't say that they are not real. McQuillt brought a notebook with him and took notes as Carriage retold him the mythological, geological, and social history of Ireland. If we could access the notebook, it would be possible to compare Carriage's claims to what we know of the geology and human history of Ireland and see if it is likely that this actually came from an ancient fairy and not from McQuilt's imagination. Until we have this data, though, it is not possible to say whether or not his claims are genuine, and it would be prudent to not jump to conclusions about the existence of leprechauns based on these stories from Karlingford. Another problem with the Karlingford leprechauns being a real phenomenon is that they are based on a fairly modern understanding of the creatures. During the Middle Ages, leprechauns differed considerably from their modern green-clad counterparts. For one thing, they were often said to have worn red, and they may have originally been underwater creatures. Leprechauns were also considered rude, noisy drunks, and solitary cobblers who could be male or female. The modern perception of leprechauns has charming but mischievous all-male fairies dressed in green only dates to the 18th century at the earliest, and this image did not become widespread until the 19th century. Although it could be argued that just as human culture has changed through the ages, so has leprechaun culture. The fact that the Karlingford leprechauns are a very modern type of leprechaun specific to contemporary Irish culture makes it less likely that they are genuine supernatural leprechauns. It is sort of like someone who believes in elves describing elves that are just like the elves of 10th century romance novels rather than the original elves of ancient Norse and Germanic legends. Entities closer to the original legends are more likely to be real than those that are based on derivatives of legend. I disagree with that last sentence. That is not necessarily the case. It could be the case, but it's not necessarily the case. They're stating it to
Certainly, entities closer to the original legends are more likely to be real than those that are based on derivatives of the legend. There's potentially a problem that would make that statement not true. Let me stop to catch up with the chat. We're enough green for all of us. I was going to bust out. I have a I don't know what I've done with it though. It's like a green, kind of like, Mardi Gras bead, except that instead of beads, it has little shiny green "Kiss Me, I'm Irish" letters on it. But I do have green on my shirt. Pyromedics is here. Welcome. He says the little people traveled the Trail of Tears because of the same reason, stories say. Yes, Lockbeard, I shall try use old syntax that isn't internet speak. Old syntax is just proper spelling and grammar and stuff. Internet speak is like a bunch of nonsense for the most part. Sorry, but I still don't know what you were saying earlier. What was that comment again? It was I applying screen time today. Do you mean you're spending time on the internet today? Is that what you mean? Rutha says, you think fugates were a trip to people when they first observed? What the hell is a fugate? All these Chinese whispers, man. People believe because it's easier to believe than to confront. I don't know what Chinese whispers. I don't know what fugates are. Dude, I can't decipher your stuff. You gotta speak English in my country. I have no idea what you mean here. No idea. Rutha says, I once lived in a place called Karlingford Lulsey. What the hell's a Lulsey? Dwarf? Santa had elves. Norse elves weren't little elves. I missed the comment. I know what faff is. Funny as fuck, but not easy being green. Cindy says, I don't know, but they marketed to make millions along with other fake money-making schemes. No, I'm guessing that's something in regards to what Ruthless is saying, but I don't know what you guys are talking about. Ruthless says, that's my saying. I'm going to get into this idiocy of technology. Okay. Pyro says, my other quarter mixed blood is mostly Irish. Ball is that side of the family. So you're saying you are 1/4 Irish? and the surname on that part of the family is Ball. Ruthless says blue skinned people. Yeah, we have some of those over in like Kentucky. They have a genetic abnormality that they makes them blue. And then sometimes people can make themselves blue, like with colloidal silver and stuff like that. Ruthless says Chinese Whispers is a game children played, mate. Never heard of it. Cindy says Fugits in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay, you're talking about those people in Kentucky that have blue skin. Yeah, but they're not elves. I mean, I vaguely remember the last name now. If you'd said Blue Fugits of Kentucky, I would have known what you were saying. But you lost me because you just said the last name. Or just said the Blue People of Kentucky, because, no one remembers their last name. But people remember the Blue People of Kentucky. But it's just a genetic trait that they have. It causes them to have makes them blue. It's called methemoglobinemia. And one wonders why we don't isolate these people and selectively breed them to create a new race. Why? Because it would be cool. But okay. Say telephone, because I don't know this Chinese Whispers, but I know the game of telephone. Inbreeding, well, people try to say that, but really no. Like, it could be proliferated by inbreeding. Like, because, see, this is the problem. Like, people get the wrong idea about, like, see, I don't know, this is going to go into some genetics. The reason why people get it into their heads that inbreeding causes these issues is because inbreeding reveals the presence of recessive, defective genetic traits. So it isn't the inbreeding that caused the recessive trait. It was just the inbreeding allowed you to detect it without a genetic test, because it would in recessive trait. Because see, a recessive trait can be passing around through the population at large all the time, but if it's relatively uncommon, there's a low chance of someone getting 2 copies of the gene and then exhibiting the effects of the recessive problems that come with that gene. In an inbreeding scenario, most inbreeding families, you're not going to see any kind of problem. And the only way you're going to see a problem is if the presence of one of these genes is there. If there is, there's a higher likelihood, and it's not even guaranteed. There's a higher likelihood, though, that 2 people carrying the same recessive gene will have kids. And then if they do, 1 in 4 of those kids statistically could get 2 copies of the recessive gene and exhibit the negative consequences of that gene. So inbreeding doesn't cause it at all. Inbreeding doesn't cause anything. It just allows for the detection of the gene in that population. It's actually a useful tool. Let's say you've got a large scale, animal breeding population, and you don't have the money to test all your animals to try and eradicate a particular gene so that you never in the future run across genetic abnormality of a certain kinds or a set of certain ones that you've identified that you need to get rid of. What you can do is just say you got a cow and you got well, you have to do it pretty widespread in your cattle. But what you do is you take two offspring from the same parents and you breed them to each other. And if you see the gene pop up in any of their offspring, then you know that both of the parents, in that case, the inbreeding siblings, both of them don't carry the gene. If you get, you pull out, let's say you get 8 calves out of them and none of them have the abnormality. You can be reasonably certain, although not 100%, but reasonably certain that both of them do not carry the abnormal gene. But one of them still could. One of them still could. But see, this is where you can start getting, working on your averages, right? So you take further siblings from the same parents that those two came from, and you pair them together too. You pair 2 calves from the same mother and father, and you have let's just say you got, I don't know, let's say you got 8 males and 8 females that come from the same parents, or I'm sorry, 4 males and 4 females. You've got 4 pairs that you can put together. If the genetic anomaly is in the original 2 grandparents in that situation, just one of them has to carry the gene. But if one of them does, you will see that gene almost certainly pop up from one of those pairings. Almost certainly, not 100%. If you do not see it at all from those 2 original the grandparents in this situation, then you've reached a reasonable level of certainty that the grandparents do not, either one of them, carry the gene. So now you can treat uh, all those offspring and grand offspring and any future offspring from these original 2 as clean of the genetic anomaly. And you've determined this without any modern technology, just from inbreeding enough individuals and offsprings and generations from them that you were able to determine the gene wasn't present in that population. So now you can keep them isolated from the rest of your cattle and try to expand your breeding out of them. And you could do further testing with the rest of your cattle, but inbreeding is a very useful tool for people that don't have any kind of ability to genetically test. Ancients use this all the time. They did it with their own species in some cases. How long you been interneting, brah? I don't know, man. I just find internet speak tedious. It's very tedious. I mean, it's just I prefer to read normal language, man. Come join the game night on B channel. Anything with a screen. Paramedic says, that'll be, or Ruthless says, paramedic, that'll be a resounding no, mate. We become what we identify with. Yeah, I could have told you wasn't going to agree to that. It means I don't do the fakery of this journey, matey. Happy Patty Day. Top of the morning to you. Hello, Mr. Hugh. Ruthless says, if I come back, incarnate because I didn't transmute out proper at Pyromedic, it won't be some retarded iteration within in between full of retarded concepts of flat earth or that dumbest shit. Paramedic says, Ruthless, okay, didn't know there had been some bad blood. I knew Scotty has been working, but don't keep up. Yeah, Paramedic, Ruthless and B don't get along, and I don't get along with B. It's created a little bit of issues radiating out from that issue that we're having that has pissed me off tremendously. And at this point, it'll be a cold day in hell before I go over to his channel. And he can act like he's a victim in this whole situation all he wants. And my response to that is, what the fuck? Anyway, excuse my French. Mr. Hughes says, hello, Sandra. Per documentary on YouTube. I should have said per documentary on YouTube in regards to the Fugates. The Fugates. Derek McManus is here saying, hey, happy St. Paddy's Day from Northern Ireland. And I am shocked that Derek is able to type way better sentences here than Ruthless when it is, what is it, 11:37 or something in Ireland, or 10:37, something like that. On St. Patrick's Day. I thought everyone would be in a coma at this point in the night on St. Paddy's Day in Ireland. Bad blood with who I should more periphery. So I can tell you're definitely using the voice to text feature, partly because half of the sentences come out is gibberish, and partly because you're able to post your prolific messages, very prolific messages. Paramedic says, some others have asked about you over there. No one has spoken badly of anyone that I've heard. Every meat sex I've ever had contact with knows how to reach me. They could try that, mate. Derek says, evening, ladies. Ruthless, what's up with the riddles? Just be straight. He's using talk to text, and he's partly using internet mumbo jumbo jargon that most people who live in the real world don't understand. So we're getting a tremendous amount of messages that are garbled and unintelligible half the time. So I'm trying to encourage him to truly compose his chats, like, compose a proper sentence, no internet crap, and don't trust the talk to text crap, because it's a disaster for everyone that uses that. Do not, for the love of God or Satan or whatever rock you worship, when you communicate with me, please do not use talk to text. I hate it. I hate it. I completely hate it. If you use that, read it and make sure it's intelligible, because I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. It's not that hard to just proofread what and go back and fix the errors. You use talk to text, but go back, correct the errors. Don't hit send. Don't trust that thing and hit send, because it ends up with this crap, and I get, it's just, it's maddening. It's maddening. I hate talk to text. I hate it. Just, and your story is nuts. How can they populate without incest? Well, that story isn't real. Paramedic says, okay, this is the only way I have of reaching out. Maybe just lurk a while and see how everyone is doing. We all get too busy living life sometimes. Danny says, greetings from South Carolina. Danny, greetings from the Empire. South Carolina hasn't been renamed by the Eternus Empire just yet. Different places around the world have been already mapped by the Eternus Empire, and in many cases named more accordingly. In the U.S., they're named typically according to some kind of Native American tribal name, language name, some kind of legend name, but it typically sticks to Native American naming convention. Single word names is the convention in the Eternus Empire. So South Carolina, haven't decided on that yet. That was probably cryptic as hell. Eartha says, so if you get what I say by just reading my words, nothing hidden in them, it's always rather direct. No, it's not, man. It's jumbled mess. Internet speak shits me a little less than texting with truncated words. Just type out the words, man. Adam and Eve's offspring did populate that way till it was explained after the flood. All right. See, yeah, I don't buy into the Adam and Eve story. Humanity didn't start out from just two individuals like that created. They evolved and there was a whole population. And now maybe there was a couple of people that were named that, but even in the Bible, you look at their son went off and found a lady from another community, so that proves right there. It says right there was other people in the world. They were not the only ones. So if you only accept things from the Bible says that. And so who the hell did their son marry? Okay. Who the hell did their son marry? It was people from another community, assuming that any of those individuals existed at all. Shit, haven't heard B mentioned for so long. That's the kind of interest I have. Haven't been God after the flood. Greetings, Danny. In regards to the Fugates, you cannot see the silliness. I always did. It's 22:35 there, so 10:35 p.m. Is Ireland on the same time? Is it in the same time zone as England? Or are they two separate time zones? I can't remember. It seems like they're in. I don't know. Because because so many places around the world do different stuff sometimes. Like with Mogs was talking about what Arizona does in regards to time change, which is Arizona. Now, Arizona, listen to me. Stop it. Everyone else is changing time zones. When you guys don't change time zones, anytime someone's interacting with you from anywhere, they have to account for the different way that you're doing things. They should expect you to change your time along with everybody else, but you don't, and that is a pain in the ass. It's not that big deal. Hell, our phones change the time for us. We don't even have to change it. A computer changed the time on its own. It's not that big a deal. If everyone should probably just get rid of the time changes altogether, but until that happens, Arizona, get with the program. 9:37 in the morning in Australia, isn't it? Derek says, I was at work today just serving drinks. Everyone was having a great time. Brandon's here. Welcome. McKee says, let's not act like there's a huge drama that exists. You don't like each other. You've avoided each other. Simple. Nobody asked about him. Ruthless says, a voice to text thingy for my that's what's it called? I should try it. No, don't try it. Don't try it. If you're not even using voice, I thought you're on a phone or something. It'll be 10 times worse if you use something like that. Are you still able to text, Derek? Cindy says, Ruthless, I don't know about this illness, but if you are here to cause problems, it isn't welcome. Ruthless says, I type really fast, need to proofread more. I ask anyone that has to suffer my pace in chats real time. Ask anyone. See you in a bit, Sandra. Ruthless says, Cindy Finn, there's those that respond and those that react. Hun, religion is the prison. Don't project. I'm here to make trouble. You're not using it. Well, damn, dude. I don't know. It sure seems like that. So maybe you are. Maybe it's just because you're typing really fast and there's lots of mistakes as a result, or. But I'm not having problems as I am a Christian. I fall short. Lucky, I speak to many people over there. Maybe most don't get that confused. Derek says, same time zone for UK and Ireland. Ruthless says, scroll back to what you just said about me coming here to cause problems. Response or react? I don't know, man. I'm just telling you, having to decipher half of this, and it's. Cindy says, Ruthless, you may have got me on that, but I won't argue. Christianity, the Holy Bible, isn't for everybody, but it is for me. Yeah, Ruthless, I just dropped that subject. It's a losing battle. So, I've caught up with chat, so. Leprechaun street art. The authenticity of the Karlingford Leprechauns cannot currently be determined, but they do excite the imagination and celebrate the cultural heritage of the Irish people. For many people, that may be more important than the question of whether they are actually real. So, I say we look at the video that goes along with this story. And here we go. Well, hopefully it's going. Now, see, I can't hear anything again. Can you guys hear this? Because I can't hear it. Here's the issue. Got people think it's about getting them. You missed a good game last night, Derek says. Nikki, welcome to the chat, Nikki. Why does it matter to you, sis Indy? Mass formation psychosis is hardly recent. Done things most women in my church never in the wildest dreams would do. Ruthless says, Cindy, Q forms from the left, hun. You'll see ants in the queue. Just stop, hun. Ruthless, I would just drop that. Really, just drop that. I don't know why I'm not getting sound on this thing. Because I saw it earlier and I had sound just fine. All right. I'm trying to pull. I pulled out my headphones from the jack, and then I started getting sound from the video. Did you guys hear the sound from the video as well? Yeah, Derek, you you missed an awful lot of mentions of corned beef for some reason. Thanks, Ruthless. Yeah, she has questions about Ireland. Kind of played a game. Derek says you got to love Ireland, where your grocer is also a pub. All right, so I guess we'll try the rest of this without, because I don't know why, because for whatever reason, I guess with my headphones plugged in, it's taken out the audio. So whatever the hell. So I'm going to start it again and then see if you can hear it.
Well, what happened was about 20 years ago, it was 20 years ago, the local publican here, P.J. O'Hare, who's since gone to his reward, he was an auctioneer and he was a county councillor and a businessman. He owned this property that you're standing in at the moment. And he was selling property to a man on the mountain in America. And he heard a scream coming from the area of the wishing well, which is on Salisbury in Karlingford, and he went over to investigate. And when he went over, he found what you see here is the suit and the bones, which are over here. And in the pocket of the suit, there were 4 gold coins. And beside them, there was an area of scorched earth. So he brought them down, and he brought them in here, and we believe that they are authentic, the only authentic artifacts of leprechauns ever found in Ireland. At the time, 20 years ago, I thought it was a great idea. I was a chairman of the local tourism association, and I was slightly skeptical about the whole process. And I decided I'd hold a leprechaun hunt on the mountain, and we put up ceramic leprechauns, and thousands of people came, and it was a wonderful day, and that was it, as far as I was concerned. And over the years, I've come to believe in leprechauns myself. I saw 3. In my lifetime, I've seen 3. And I saw them one day as I was out with the dog walking. I was coming over Salisbury Mountain in the Golian, which is the shoulder of the mountain, which comes from the Gaelic word Gulan. And I was coming to the area of the Slate Rock. And when I got there, I had the dog with me. It was 11:15 in the morning, and there were 3 wee leprechauns sitting on the rock, just as you see in that suit there, just like that. Now, I couldn't communicate with them, I couldn't hear them, I could see them. And I was just transfixed, and so was the dog. We both stood there for what we thought was a full minute. And it would normally take me about a half an hour to get back home. And instead of a half an hour, I should have been home by about 12:15, and I walked in the door, it was 7 o'clock in the evening. So I was there for all that time, and trying to explain to the wife where I was very, very difficult. Anyway, I came to believe in leprechauns, and I believe that we were the only area left in Ireland where they lived. I know now that there are 236 of them left in the whole of Ireland, and that they live at the Slate Rock in Karlingford.
This is a documentary about the Karlingford Leprechauns, just a short 6-minute deal on the Amy Namerson channel.
We set up an organisation called the Karlingford Leprechaun Protection Group, and we decided that what we would do is we would lobby the EU, so MEPs on both sides of the border, to have this area as a protected area, because it was all about biodiversity and the world's biodiversity, and we had something that was unique to Ireland here. And after much lobbying and many objections from Achaeos, the National Forestry people who wanted to plant the mountain, from the black-faced mountain sheep people who wanted to graze the mountain, we got them to add leprechauns. So we got a letter, I think the letter's here. So now today, we have a leprechaun hunt on the mountain. It's for ceramic leprechauns, to celebrate the existence of leprechauns in the mountain. And we have stewards up there that won't allow anybody to walk to the right of the hunt area to where they exist. And that basically protects the areas. That's basically the story. I have the gold coins. PJ had them passed over to me, and with each one there's a gift, and there are 4 gifts, and I have to pass them on 3 hours before I die. If I don't, they revert back to the leprechauns, and so do the gift. But I must hand them on to a family that has 7 sons on it, and I have to give it to the eldest of the 7 sons. And as luck would have it, I have 7 sons.
Wow, that's amazing.
And what's even more extraordinary is that since yesterday, I now have 7 grandsons.
I don't believe
So, so that's fantastic, and I'm delighted.
That Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
7 sons and 7 grandsons.
And 7 grandsons, yeah.
The legacy will continue.
The legacy will continue. If I get it passed over, I'm not giving those gifts over to my son yet. I'm going to take my chances and wait. At the start, I was kind of a little bit skeptical about it, but if you actually go into just down the street here, PJ O'Hare's, they've actually got the evidence of the leprechaun bones down there. And we've actually got coins as well. By the way, that's top secret. You don't know where they are. Even I don't know. And I'm in a pretty close circle with the whole thing. So I would absolutely say that I do believe in it. There's no doubt that I do believe in it. A lot of people are skeptical, which is fine. But if you come here and you come to the mountains and the whole lot, you see it, it's fantastic.
I found the leprechaun over there and it was very hard to find, but I found it straight over at an old bridge over there at the old bush, and it was very hard to find one more. Well, I just found one of them.
And what do you win? Do you win a prize?
Almost. Well, I just
Well, there you have it. So, do they exist? Oh, can't you have some fun with it, Mr. Ruthless? Yeah, it's a documentary about that place that say they have leprechauns. Eyes will believe what the mind may see. Derek says, to be honest, I've never seen a leprechaun myself. Leprechaun, says Richmond Wright. Welcome to the chat, Richmond. It's a new name here. Derek says, I'm sure that the tourist industry in Karlingford didn't suffer from this sighting. I'm sure it did not. Sure it did not. People will use anything for a little tourism, any kind of legend they got. Loch Ness, Bigfoot, leprechauns. Ruthless says, maybe they're all gone because of the pots of gold were stolen from them. I don't know. Derek says, to be fair, in the late 19th century, a cache of buried treasure called the Broiter Gold was found in a field outside the town I live in. Richmond says there is no gold. And I wonder if people think I'm attacking them. Cindy says, Derek, the bars and other people that make money off St. Patty's use leprechauns. Corporate America is in all the holidays. A bad leg then? Cindy says, the only gold is in the pot the next morning after a night of drinking. Derek says, anything, I'm sure they do, much like Scotland does, well out of the Loch Ness Monster. So, devil's advocate. Let's say, the leprechaun he talked to, who said there was very few of them left because of lack of belief of the people. I'm not going to be able to explain this very well, but everything is energy, frequency, vibration, just like Tesla said. And so if you have enough people who firmly believe in a thing. And perhaps after enough time that those energies, those frequencies begin to coalesce into something that is real. The leprechauns could have literally been created by the mind, but been a real thing. It's not like it's not real necessarily. And then as time went on and people started, the belief in leprechauns began to wane, the leprechaun, that energy that came together to create him was beginning to dissipate, and its supply was less and less. And of course, today, people are at a point where, you can't say, you can't tell a logically minded person, just believe, and they will be, because people today don't understand the universe like that. They don't understand, and it's just you would have to honestly believe that you could help support the existence of them by believing in them, and so truly believe in them, and just you'd have to truly understand the mechanism at place, or go back to a more innocent time where you truly believe in them because you don't know any better, and so that belief is based on from an ignorance, but it ends up creating something very real. Lag. Okay. Lucky say it. Agreements to what? The manifests. Cindy Finn says, Derek, I am just over corporate America using holidays brands to make money off things, real or unreal, and maybe we don't know. Derek says, I honestly think there is a grain of truth in the idea that if enough people believe in something, it manifests in some way. The mind is a wonderful thing. Yes. And potentially, to expand on that, what if someone of such a powerful consciousness, they would, could literally just create things? This person would be, for all intents and purposes, a god to normal people. Perhaps that's the path we're on, to eventually to understand how the universe functions to such a degree that we become these godlike entities. And at some point we're like, why do we even exist in this physical realm at all? We don't have to. We can just shed our physical form and go back to being pure energy and vibration, and just leave it behind. Why be here? It's like this entire reality. It depends on ignorance. Like we don't remember the entity that we truly are does not remember being part of the one, part of the entire universe, one massive infinite consciousness or mind. We don't remember. We're not supposed to remember, I don't think. Otherwise, why would the mechanisms be in place that isolate this little piece of what we are in this form, completely ignorant of what we were before we attached to this physical body? Ruthless says, and all those things may come at the in-between where all realms converge after death. ether and formlessness. Yes. Derek says, Cindy, I understand. I've heard it called the Hallmark Effect. Cindy says, Derek, yes, and I don't play that game anymore. Yeah, people need to stop doing that. Like, that's one thing I got totally burnt because, when you're a kid, you get presents and there's a tree and it's a little magical depending on your worldview. But when I was a kid, I began to not want, and I can't remember the full reason for it. It may have had something to do with my birthday being 2 days before Christmas. I seems like I thought that we were too poor and I didn't want to be a burden insofar as the cost of gifts. And as I got older, I didn't want gifts at all. I wasn't interested. I haven't been interested in the whole gift giving thing. I don't give gifts for Christmas, and I don't get any gifts anymore. I've kind of gotten everyone used to, don't give me gifts. I'm not interested in it. If you want to get gifts, get them for the kids. But even that, I'm like, chill out. Like the pile of presents began to overwhelm the damn tree. The tree, like, where's the tree? The tree's behind a pile of Chinese crap. It's not special anymore either. Go back to, if you do anything, like maybe one gift for a kid. And everybody else just see your family, have a meal. You end up with this pile of wrapping paper and boxes and thousands of dollars spent on Chinese crap. And now, we could potentially end up at war with China. We've been supporting them. Every time you go to that damn store and buy their crap, you support them. You support child slave labor and all the other evil things that go on in China. Human trafficking, human organs. We need to step back from this materialistic crap, because every year you're teaching your kid to value things. It's all about things. This holiday has become all about things. This Christmas holiday has materialistic crap. Ruthless says we become what we identify and embody. Identify. I was able to decipher that one. Richmond says, I identify as a genius. Really? So, if you're a genius, who is the most intelligent person in history that you're aware of? Who is the most intelligent person in our history that you're aware of? Rutha says, you understand you ain't a body in a natural state, Lucky. Yeah, isn't that what I just said? Sanders says, hey, chat, had to take a phone call. Troy says, I don't care to receive commercial holiday gifts either. Welcome to the chat, Troy. Rutha says, or is it you had a sense early on that you aren't some sack of carbon-based life form, Lucky? I don't know. What I do know is I ended up on a path that eventually left me looking for someone that had, who could see some of the crap that I could see, that the problems. Because I'm a very scientifically minded person, but there's some problems with some areas of science. And luckily, some years back, I ran across Ken Wheeler. And I was like, finally, there's someone, someone who understands that this parasite, this piece of crap that our society worships. I mean, the name Einstein has become synonymous with genius when that couldn't be farther from the truth. And you still run across people that never heard of Nikola Tesla. Are you freaking kidding me? So, there was something lacking. And then problems, with science. They want to achieve grand unification, right? They keep talking every year after year, and they, more calculations and more particle bombardments, and we got to figure out how's this function? Why can't we figure this out? And then ridiculous things like oh my gosh, the double slit experiment. Look, it's like they forgot how basic science is supposed to work with that whole deal, because what happened? They got two different results, right? They were expecting either result A or result B, but they got both results depending on, the circumstances, observation, blah, blah, blah. But the point is they got two separate results, under, differing conditions, but still they got both results. The results that can't both be correct, right? It can't be both. It can't be both. Can't be both a particle and a wave. That's just dumb. So instead of our wonderful scientists saying, okay, look, there must have been something wrong with our original hypotheses. Our original experiment was flawed. There must be another option other than the two that we've thought of. They didn't even consider that maybe there was another option that they hadn't even thought of, because they think they're the smartest, they're the best shit ever, right? We got this crap figured out. We just gotta nail down the nuts and bolts. No, you guys are way off course. Way off course. There's no way that you should get that you should there's no way that you should come to the conclusion that you did with the double slit experiment. No way. And the conclusion was, instead of questioning their original suppositions, their original predictions, and all, instead of questioning that, maybe we were wrong to think that there was one of these two answers. Instead of doing that, they just threw their hands up and said, well, it must be both. Well, that's just insane. That's just insane. It can't be both. It just can't. That don't make any logical sense. But that's what they did. So certain areas of science are failing us. And then they start talking about space-time. Makes great science fiction, right? Space-time. Great science fiction. They start talking about it as if it's a thing. That's just the most ridiculous. Time is no more an entity in itself than an inch is. Okay, you can't point at something and say that's an inch. An inch is a kind of measure. It's just something you measure. It's just a method of measurement. You just decide, okay, this much is an inch. There's not a thing that you point to and say it's a freaking inch. There just isn't. Space is the same and time is the same. I mean, you can measure an inch in space, but you're measuring just it's just a measurement, just empty space. There's nothing there, and you're measuring that nothing with nothing. There's not a tangible thing. And the same for time. It's just the progression of events. Like if I were to say to you, an inch second, this thing occurs in 2.3 inch seconds. It's not a thing. It's not a freaking thing. But they started calling space time. They call it a fabric of space time. And then you start seeing those freaking graphical representations of them trying to understand gravity and how things, and they have like this grid, which is the two-dimensional representation of three-dimensional space and time, which is there any dimension to time? But and then it's got a depression in it where the planet was sitting, and they're trying to they've gotten off on such ridiculous tangents trying to understand things, and they come up with this space-time nonsense. Absolute not. Anyone with a logical mind could see that was nonsense. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. You know, a bunch of scientists having a little circle jerk, congratulating each other over ridiculous non-accomplishments. They start talking about freaking particles smaller than a proton. You know, you haven't even observed an electron. Like you even can't. You can't even put your finger on the damn things. Not literally, but when they're trying to, knowing both the location, so on and so forth. But because it's not a physical thing. Dark matter. They've got a lot of people out here believing that there's really dark matter out there. They haven't proven dark matter exists. It was just their ridiculous non-understanding of the universe forced them to have to come up with some excuse for their observations, and that was dark matter and dark energy and Jesus. It's just ridiculous. So, thank goodness Ken's out there trying to teach people the truth. Like, I didn't know everything, I didn't know all the answers. Luckily, Ken was able to show me some things that made sense. Because for lack of, when you're looking at this crap over here, which I can tell some of that's bullshit, but I really don't know what the truth is, But I know it's not that crap. So here we are on the raggedy edge. Derek says, I think a good book is a great Christmas gift. Yeah. Yeah. Richmond says, gifts are useless junk compared to real life connection. Ruthless says, go China. Potato is too weak. China. Not a fan of China myself, to be honest, says Derek. Sanders says, I do for my grandkids. Yeah, if you're going to do gifts, just do it for the kids. Adults should just the funny thing is where you see some people they give each other gift cards. Holy crap. That you're completely missing the whole point of gifts, If I pay $25 for a gift card and you pay $25 for a gift card, and then we give each other gift cards, do people not see how freaking ridiculous that is? It's dumb. So if you find yourself in a position where you're giving someone a gift card, maybe it's okay in a situation where, say, you're giving it to a kid for a particular store they like, and so that they can go get, exactly what they want, because in the future, or something they need in the future. But adults trading gift cards, I'm like, what's that all about? Unless it's someone it's really poor or something, and you're just trying to help them out. But for the most part, I think gift cards is kind of crazy. Identity in the entity. Cindy says, I worked a Hobby Lobby, and oh man, that was my conflict working there. As it went on, they aren't Christian. Tesla, in my opinion, says Troy. Yeah, Tesla. Well, I was asking, where did Richmond go? Where did Richmond go? Richmond says he identifies as a genius, and it's too late to answer now, Richmond. He must have left. I don't see any more from Richmond. Who because I was going to see if he said Einstein or some bullshit like that. Sandra says, aware of Stephen Hawking? Nah, Stephen Hawking, no. He buys into the current regime. Tesla, yeah. Ruthless says, mathematicians don't explain shit, they just count shit. Ken Wheeler. Yeah. Exactly. Ruthless, so much emphasis on intelligence. That's the arrogance of the society. Cindy says, see how history is written. We give Einstein all the glory, but there was 3 in the chase. Wise intelligence. Yeah, we got to go way back for that. People don't want to go back. It's all gaslighting. Cindy Finn says, Ruthless, I'm hardly a brain. I'd rather listen and keep learning. Yeah, Ruthless says science fiction is based on bullshit concepts. Yeah, that's why it would be, because I've talked about on here. I have my interest in writing, screenwriting. I'd love to write some science fiction that's based on some real science, not that warp bubble gravitron. What do they use for time? Chronoton particles. All that ridiculous crap you see in science fiction. It's a fun watch, but it's just a bunch of crap scientifically. Measurement of magnitude. Can anything break down time to a moment? It's that quantum idiocy. Picosecond. What precludes a pico? Yeah, that's the part. That's the trapping of, because we live in a reality where things are in units, and we're only supposed to, we deal with our everyday life and survival. You gotta be able to quantify things and count things. Do we have enough food? No, then we need to go hunt today instead of tomorrow. The scouts come back and from different directions, and this scout says, well, there's a herd of 10 buffalo this way, and the other guy says, yeah, but there's a herd of 109 buffalo this way. You have to be able to count shit, right, to know what you're going to do, to know how to interact with this reality. Beyond this reality, things aren't countable. Because you start getting outside the entire concept of quantifiability. Chessboard says hello, Achaeos, Cindy, and everybody else. Welcome, Chessboard. Welcome, Wagon. Welcome. Rutha says, how about a hectrillionth? Yeah, I know. I can count very high. Yeah. Just popping in and out, Wagon. Well, thanks for dropping by. Rutha says, want to be an astrophysicist at age 9. Cindy says, I do homemade gifts and a good meal and homemade ornaments. Chessboard says to Cindy, homemade gifts come from the heart. Cindy says, yes and no, Chessboard. It is why I do them, and cooking with love as well. The gathering. Your people get dispersed in our society today. The only way to hold on to the way we're supposed to exist is tribal people. In a social group that stays, just to ourselves, and anyone comes in our territory, we're supposed to say, hey, you're getting a little close to where we're at. You need to get out of here, or we're gonna mess you up. Or maybe come to an agreement. So look, maybe we can join together for a hunt. And we split it evenly. But your tribe needs to stay as a unit. And we have governments today that are trying to disrupt those kinds of units. They don't want you to have a tribe. And this is a problem because it goes against human nature. They've created a situation where tribes don't stick together and hold together very well. People get dispersed. There's so many people, they're dispersed amongst each other. They lose their identity as a member of a tribe or even a family. Siblings are not close in a lot of cases. The government's actively trying to do this to us. I hope everyone realizes they need us all to be kind of isolated so they can control us. This is why the Catholic Church, see, hell, we were talking about incest earlier. Back in the day, there were kinship groups, and if the elders would, marriages would be arranged to, the tree starts to branch, they bring it back in. You got a fourth cousin and a fourth cousin. They bring it back in, keeping a cohesive line of people that are closely related and have a connection to each other. Part of that kinship group. The Catholic Church wanted to break up kinship groups. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't think of incest. See, incest is a dirty word. It's a dirty word. I mean, yeah, you don't want to be, you probably don't want a bunch of banging your sister stuff going on, but it serves its function. You got to remember, back in the day, humans, a lot of times that was your only options. Everyone in your own tribe. Well, you're all probably, cousins of some level, first, second, third cousins, something like that. That's the normal, natural condition of humans. Now, occasionally you might meet up with another tribe and say, hey, we need to trade out some females. You might do that. And it wasn't because you were thinking, oh, shit, we can't have too much incest. You were just thinking, there's some new ladies over there. I like those. Just the way it was. Don't complain about it. Or you just might steal some. But the Catholic Church wanted to break it up, so they started this whole the kinship groups. So they started this whole campaign against incest, and it's just gotten more and more over time, But you notice it keeps happening. So you see that there's not really a natural aversion to it. There's just a cultural aversion to it because it would be an influence to the culture. And I'm not telling y'all to go start fucking your cousins or anything. I'm just saying this is just the reality of the human experience and what we are, what we're supposed to do. Cohesive social group units. Now nowadays with a lot of the tribes here in the United States, a lot of them have thousands of people, so you can pretty much avoid, for the most part, cousin marriages and stuff like that. Second, maybe third cousin marriages, but you can avoid first cousin marriages and stuff like that. There's enough people. Some of the tribes are too small, like they probably couldn't avoid that. But this is an issue. See the U.S. government's had it's the U.S. government. It's funny how people want to act like we're the ones that stopped genocide when U.S. government is in an ongoing genocidal campaign. It's ongoing. They're not just outright. They're not out there just like killing people, but they're stamping the Native American tribes into non-existence as much as they can get away with, in sneaky ways, but they're doing it. And part of the, of course now, they're trying to act like they're doing the right thing, but these people need to, and there's a lot of people, they're trying to put together programs to save their languages, like they're losing their languages and their culture. So there's people trying to have a resurgence of that and put a lot more effort into trying to educate their kids in their culture and their language. There's some tribes here where the average age of speakers of their native language is like in their 50s. I think there's one tribe that I'm aware of that no one under the age of 50 speaks their native language. This is causing an extinction of their tribe, and a unique culture is dying. And this is a bad thing, I think. I don't know. Some people might say, well, they're just assimilating into U.S. culture. I'm like, fuck U.S. culture. Why can't these people look? You stuffed them on reservations. You tore kids away from their families and forced them into schools to be indoctrinated and refused to let them practice their own religions and speak their own languages. And then the U.S. government's going to now try and act like they're the good guys. Kiss my ass. You are not the good guys. Okay? Kiss my ass. So getting into the micronation game, one of the core values of the Eternus Empire is to preserve all human cultures, all human languages. So you may have a lingua franca, you may have a language that is spoken across the globe for communication of all these different groups, but the schools in each of these places would be required. See, because it's not required necessarily to teach. If you're in Cherokee territory, is it required to teach Cherokee to Cherokee kids? No, not really. You can. It is a core principle. It is a law that the education of a tribal member must include the education in their original language as well as the lingua franca, and so that they for one they're bilingual, and that's good. It's always good for a kid to be bilingual. We got a bunch of kids in the United States that only speak one language. Why the hell is this? This should not be. This is ridiculous. We're the most powerful nation on the earth, and we can't even pull off a fully trilingual society. We should have been able to do that, and we couldn't pull that off. It's because it's not what they want. The federal government is lying to you and full of shit if they're trying to act like they have your best interest in heart. They don't. The best interests of the people is to make sure that the children of all these various cultures across the United States, North America, the entire world, to make sure those children are still have their culture and their original language and their original religions. Stop trying to force everyone to be the same religion as you. Stop it. That is evil. When you go in and you destroy a people's faith, even though their faith may be, nonsense to you, your faith is nonsense to them. All of your faiths are nonsense to Ruthless over here. This is destroying diversity in our world. It's destroying it. This is why I say multiculturalism destroys multiple cultures. You can have a situation where people can visit a culture, but when you bring a bunch of people into that culture that aren't part of that culture and you dilute their culture to the point that their culture disappears, you've destroyed a culture. And we had hundreds and hundreds of different cultures here in the United States. They're barely now holding by a thread. Some of them have gone completely extinct, and there's nowhere near adequate measures to put it into the gradual destructions of these people. Some of these tribes only have a few hundred people left. They've been shoved into reservations. You got grandparents who none of their grandkids speak their native language. They can't speak to any of their grandkids in their native language. To me, the world has lost something because of this. It's lost something precious, extremely valuable. These languages, it's not just a different way of communicating, it's a different way of thinking. The next geniuses can come from different worldviews and different ways of thinking in the mind. Who knows how many were just their potential was destroyed because we destroyed their culture and their language and their faiths. It's an absolute tragedy for the United States acting like, oh, look at all this good we're doing for native tribes. All you're doing is creating dependency. You got them on the payroll. That's what you've done. Don't act like you're helping them. Don't act like you're helping them. I know what you're doing. You're creating dependency. And some of these tribes know it now, too. They know it. That's why some of them have refused federal money. They've got you figured out. Don't take the federal government's money. Don't do it. You will harm your people. You think you're helping because I'm getting money, but you're not. You're going to harm your people. Resist and tell them to get out of your land. Say, this is our land. Kiss our ass. Get the hell out of here. We run this place, not you. Get the fuck out of here. But be careful, because the federal government will come in and start shooting people. When it comes down to it, they will. But let me catch up in chat. What the fuck? I can count to 10. Cindy says, Chessboard, I found another nugget from Admiral Morrison, the Gulf of Tonkin. His son was counterculture musician Jimmy Morrison, the Doors. Huh. Presence or more about the presence? We're so effing lost. Mr. Lee, welcome. Rabbit hole is deeper than most can comprehend, says Chessboard. SE Chessboard, it is indeed. You were sleeping and you heard me? Heard me how? Nikki says, quick, what's the name of an Irish potato cake? Cindy says, government rubber stamps endorsed eugenics and genocide of anyone that isn't white. Truth. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not, and I'm not like blame Whitey for everything. Look at me. But the federal government is evil. They're not the friend of white people or any other race. They're not your friend. They're a small group of very rich, powerful people that are the reason they're in power is because they thirst for power and they're greedier than you are. That's the only reason. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get into power. Whatever it takes. Right down to the vice president who was willing to suck off anyone she could to get into power. And she did. That's a damn fact. She didn't have any other qualifications other than she gives good head, I guess. Well, I haven't heard that it was good, but she was given head. And the rest of her goodies. Derek says, Mr. Lee, it was fun at work today. There was a wedding last night, and a lot of the guests stayed to celebrate St. Patty's. Rutha says, Navajo elders said the same. Just because you don't agree with another's beliefs, it dies not by default. Negate them for others. People can't mind their own effing business. I agree, Lockbeard, says Cindy. Live and let live. Everything has a right to exist. If there's conflict, then they can have it where they are. Chessboard says, Cindy Finn, you want some up-to-date shadow stuff? Check out what Yuval Noah Harari is to Klaus Schwab. Happy Patty Day. Well, and law school. I will check it out, Chessboard. Just do no harm. Yeah. I wonder if Danny's still here. Danny's still here? Told him I hadn't named his kingdom yet, or the kingdom that would encompass what is now South Carolina. Oh, he's left. He's left. At least as far as I can see. Yeah, at least as far as I can see. Yeah, the Eternus Empire has mapped out future kingdoms of the empire. They don't know it yet, but it has happened. And one day, maybe these regions will truly come under the loving embrace of the empire. Boom. Yeah, I think y'all can see that just well. This is a region somewhere. And the one in red is what has been, at least for now, called the Kingdom of Unctahi. Yeah. Unctahi. So, maybe we can play a game. If anyone can guess what part of the world the Kingdom of Unctahi is. Unctahi, my bad. Unctahi. Mr. Lee said, yeah, I got your email. Yeah. Why did he unmoderate you? It's because of that whole issue the other day. Ruthless says, UV is as usual here. It's not right. It's not supposed to be like this. It's getting more and more. Sandra asks why, Mr. Lee. Ruthless says, Mr. Lee, you're in the club I'm in. Power derived. It's not a bad thing, man. Power corrupts. I don't know, Sandra. I'm very upset, though. And could it have something to do with your battle the other day in my chat? Could it have anything to do with that at all? Cindy says, power corrupts. Yeah. Because of cheese. Yeah. Yeah, she was trying to, it makes me wonder, did she did her and Tex have a little conversation about you or something? I mean, if so, that kind of shows that she is not the innocent she was acting like she was. Paramedic says, Mr. Lee, I could not see you in his chat. He said he fixed it and you still didn't show up. Thought you were in private chat or something. Ruthless says, oh, is that why I don't have a spanner today? You don't have a spanner. What do you mean? Oh, you don't have one. Mr. Lee doesn't have. Mr. Lee, I thought I gave you. Oh no, you had me take it away. Yeah, that's right. Because that fight the other day, you had me take away your wrench. I don't know why the hell people call it a spanner. You people are using the wrong word for it if you call it spanner. It's a wrench. You don't want to be modded? Well, it just looks weird if everybody ain't modded. Let me see who else is not modded. Just Ruthless and Mr. Lee. It looks like. Yeah. Oh, Wagon's not modded. We better mod Wagon. Yeah, we better do that. Anybody else? Let's see here. I don't know Richmond Wright, so I'm not going to. I don't know who that is. Could be a spy. Could be a spy. Yep. Brandon. Going all the way back. At least as far as it'll let me. Yeah. Spanners are not adjustable. Sandra, I guarantee Tex is aware of it. Look, I've been trying to tell y'all, Tex is a snake in the grass. I know some of y'all are like, oh my gosh, not Tex. Tex is what? No. Nuh-uh. No. Bullshit artist. Bullshit. Yeah, man. Even though I knew the show was full of bullshit, I still watched it until they blocked me. So now I won't go over there unless it's for like a particular case. Like I went over to look for the, Donald blocking and all that. And I couldn't see it, but just to check their chat, I didn't care what was on their show because their show is full of shit. And so is Tex. Tex is full of shit. Sorry, folks. Tex is full of shit. And I want to hear. If you know, if anywhere where he has denounced the actions of DDoS, where has he done this? He hasn't. That was his big buddy back in the day. He was all cozy with DDoS. Oh yes. Has he denounced his actions, or does Tex support the crimes of DDoS? Do you, Tex? Well, do you? Not to mention that DDoS is full of shit with his dogman bullshit. Full of shit. There ain't no dogman. Show me one piece, any kind of evidence that's real, like solid evidence. There's nothing solid. At least we got the patty film and tons of footprints and stuff for Bigfoot. And it actually makes sense within the natural world. Like, okay, this thing could possibly have arisen out of humans. There is no precedent for an upright canid. There just isn't. There isn't. It don't make any sense. A wrench is a plumber's tool in Australia. Cindy says, but let's say Carrie knows Mr. Lee is in both camps and Carrie put bug in Tex's ear and maybe used cheese as a lamb. I wouldn't doubt it. Carrie's snake in the grass himself. I mean, he's worse. Best I can tell, he's worse. Hey, I didn't create these divisions. They did. They did by being the way they are. Full of shit, hypocrites, liars. Spanners are not adjustable. Jesport says, Ruthless, it's a right-handed monkey wrench. Right-hand rule is cool. Sandra says, Mr. Lee, before you get upset, wait and see what gives. Please don't be upset. Like the other night? Yeah. Ruthless says, do you mean people go from liking others to not because of butthurt? Oh, that's new. Not. Mr. Lee says, Sandra, I can't help it. I'm so upset. Yeah, Mr. Lee's been very neutral about things. He's been, sitting on that fence for a long time. But unfortunately, I mean, Mr. Lee, it was just a matter of time for something happen that made you have to, face that these other certain channels that you've been over on, and they're just not good. They're just not good. They're just not good. They're not going to help you get any answers about Sasquatch, that's for sure. Over trivial. Truth or worse. Cindy says, I would honestly like the 411 from Barb on Carrie. What does Barb know that you want to know? She has some inside intel. Angel, welcome. Says, Mr. Lee, don't let them get you upset. Angel says Cindy and Chessboard got late here and was just listening. Ruthless says, Mr. Lee Broad, do people follow you around on the internet? Do they periodically single you out weeks and months after the fact? Brah, screw people like that. Mr. Lee says, I am seeing true colors of people. Very upsetting, man. Yeah, sorry, man. You know? Eventually people see the true colors, you know? Eventually they do. It takes longer for some because you're not challenging their guest as hard as someone like myself. You know, when their guest is on there spouting a bunch of bullshit and you start asking too many hard questions, Carrie will block your ass. He'll claim he doesn't know anything about it too. He's like, I don't know what happened. You know, I have no idea, and he's try to slide out of it. He knows damn well what happened. It's full of shit. Cindy Finn says, "Hey Ruth, sorry for earlier. I promise I'm not butthurt." Cindy Finn says, "There it is again, hun, looking at my words as if they were directed at you." Cindy Finn says, "Nope, not at all. I was making a joke out of it, Ruthless." Ruthless says, "Mr. Lee, mate, few know themselves. How can they know others, let alone understand them?" Cindy says, "Maybe you project too much." Anyone have any guesses where in the world the kingdom of Unktahi? I don't know why I keep messing up that name. Unktahi in the red there. Where is that in the world? Any guesses? Ruthless says, "Stop, Cindy. Really, it's juvenile." Y'all fighting again? Stop it. Stop it. Y'all people, stop fighting. Unktahi. No guesses where the kingdom of Unktahi is? Do you need clues? I don't know if any clues I would give you would help. I don't know. Get past things really quickly. We become what we identify with and surround. Mr. Lee says, "Do you think it's because of cheese, Lockbeard?" Don't know for a fact, Mr. Lee, but I would say that's a real good chance. I'd say it's a real good chance, Mr. Lee. Real good chance. Ruthless says, "Hence I don't go to virtually all the idiocy channels and streams." Just saying. He's just saying. Well, shoot. Mr. Lee says, "Oh no." What do you mean, oh no? Well, okay, so Ruthless, are you trying to say spanked her? What the hell? So nobody's got any guesses where the territory in the red there, which is currently claimed by another corrupt government, but is claimed by moi as part of the Eternus Empire. And the red territory is called the Kingdom of Unktehi. So nobody has any idea where in the world that might be? So here's a story from an elderly woman of the culture of the area that this place is. She says, a long time ago, a really long time ago, when the world was still freshly made, Unktehi, the water monster, fought the people and caused a great flood. Perhaps the great spirit, Wakantanka, was angry with us for some reason. Maybe he let Unktehi win out because he wanted to make a better kind of human being. Well, the waters got higher and higher. Finally, everything was flooded except the hill next to the place where the sacred red pipestone quarry lies today. The people climbed up there to save themselves, but it was no use. The water swept over that hill. Waves tumbled the rocks and pinnacles, smashing them down on the people. Everyone was killed, and all the blood gelled, making one big pool. The blood turned to the pipestone and created the pipestone quarry, the grave of those ancient ones. That's why the pipe made of that red rock is so sacred to us. Its red bowl is the flesh and blood of our ancestors. Its stem is the backbone of those people long dead. The smoke rising from it is their breath. I tell you, that pipe, that chinumpa, comes alive when used in a ceremony. You can feel power flowing from it. Unktehi, the big water monster, was also turned to stone. Maybe Tunkshilla, the grandfather spirit, punished her for making the flood. Her bones are in the Badlands now. Her back forms a long high ridge, and you can see her vertebrae sticking out in a great row of red and yellow rocks. I have seen them. It scared me when I was on that ridge, for I felt Unktehi. She was moving beneath me, wanting to topple me. It is I, Lame Deer, who said this. This was a story told by Lame Deer. I won't give the location. In 1969. Well, brown, red, what have you. Troy says Canada. Canada provinces. Is that the only guess? Need to get some power going here. Real close, Troy. Real close. So, you know, a lot of those words people wouldn't have probably meant little to people. But a lot of people probably picked up Native American. It was a story from a Native American talking about Untehi, which is one of the Lakota deities. Potatoes are poison, Ruthless just saying. They ain't green, just saying. Angel says Mount St. Helen region. I would say you're further away. You're further away than Troy's guess of Canada. Paramedic says Unctana was a horned serpent in the Cherokee culture. Yeah, it probably spans like in a lot of different cultures. They shared a lot. So there may be the words a little different, but it may be because it's basic the same description. It's a serpent. But yeah, Mount St. Helens is in Washington State, and Canada is bordering this piece of territory. Rufus says, "Give up the potatoes, man." Or Mr. Lee says, "Rufus, give me one logical reason," says Ruthless. One logical reason? You need to study the carnivore diet and the reasons why people need to, for optimal health, you need to go to a fully carnivorous diet. Why carbs are bad for you in general? Like you should only, if you ever eat carbs, you really should only eat them like on rare occasions. Like, you know, I don't know. You know, maybe you find a fruit tree every so often in nature, you know. Humans didn't have potatoes at all until they came to the New World, because potatoes come from South America. So it's funny how, you know, potatoes are thought of as this Irish thing. Irish did not have potatoes before Caucasians came to America the second time, with, well, the third time, possibly the fourth or fifth time, but after Columbus, the Irish didn't have potatoes until after Columbus. Liver will die. Maybe the Black Hills then. Oh, getting closer. Getting closer. Well, closer within the U.S. Let's see here. Oh, where's the chat going? There we go. Ruth says, "I don't agree that meat only diet is the way." Well, you're gonna have to get used to being wrong, Ruthless. If you look into it, truly look into it, you will see that look start. I don't know where to put you to start. Like, Just study in human physiology with an open mind and forget all the crap you've been told about diet. If you study human physiology, you will see. I mean, it's obvious if you study human physiology properly without any preconceptions, you will see. But go watch the where could you go? You could go to Frank Tufano's channel, but he's kind of goofy and he might turn you off. You know, but he's like one of the best carnivore advocates on YouTube. He's the best one I'm aware of. You know, as far as getting close to what's right. There's others. You know, there's others. But there's a documentary called Homo Carnivorous. You know, instead of Homo sapiens, Homo Carnivorous. It's kind of a decent introduction. It doesn't really dive too deep into any science, but it gives some. There's an interview with Jordan Peterson about the matter on Joe Rogan. It's I don't know, it's only I think it's 10, 15 minutes where Jordan's talking to, it's part of the interview. The clip is on YouTube somewhere. Jordan Peterson, where all his health problems that he had were completely eliminated by going to a purely meat diet. But Great Lakes, yes, very close. Zeroing in, very close. Montana, no, not Montana. It's closer than Mount St. Helens, though. I do like salad, especially green beans. Why potatoes are poison? Yeah, it take a while to go into that. Go look it up yourself, Ruthless. Look it up yourself. Trust me. Potatoes are not good for you. You got to you're gonna have to sort through a bunch of bullshit on the internet, but well, technically, when you say we are supposed to eat fruit on occasion, but our classification would be hyper carnivore if we were properly classified, and that is humans being more carnivorous than bears, which are considered to be hyper carnivorous, and they eat 70-75% meat. They consider that hyper carnivorous, but we're more so. We're designed more so, and the proof of it's everywhere. You just haven't seen it yet. That's why you're saying the same things I would have said some years back before I was more educated on the matter. Trust me. It's going to take you some time to break down all the brainwashing. You may not believe it, but it's possible for you to have been brainwashed by the bullshit that our government has given us. All those big flint knap spear points, all those gigantic, massive, fatty, red-meated animals that we hunted, we did that for a very long time. And before we were able to do any great hunts, we were scavenging kills off of other animals and eating from the sea. We have a long history of eating a lot of damn meat. If a group of people kill a woolly mammoth, you think they were like, oh, well, we need someone to boil up some corn on the cob and make some mashed potatoes and gravy? No, they ate the damn woolly mammoth. They ate it raw, and that's all they ate for like a month. They ate it partially decomposed. They ate it. When Italians immigrated to America, they were told tomatoes were poisonous. Well, the plant is poisonous. As far as you can't eat the leaves of potato and tomato, they're part of the deadly nightshade family. You might not die outright from eating the leaves of potato or tomato, but there are poisons in it. The fruit is still not the best thing for you. Potato is the root, though. There's poisons in it. It's not gonna you're not gonna drop dead from eating potato, obviously, but it's not a health food at all. It's not a health food at all. Optimal nutrition. If you want to go for the most optimal nutrition you can, you would have to get rid of potatoes. You won't see that me. What? Dr. Eric Berg on YouTube saved me. Yeah, he's an advocate of keto anyway, as I recall. Ruthless says, I won't see that a meat-only diet and deriving this form body of other food types is how we got to where we are in evolutionary progression. You won't allow yourself to see. If you would just take the time to look, you will find out why we are the way we are, being a very, very carnivorous creature. We got this form partially because we're a very carnivorous creature. You know, the vegans talking about the teeth. I've already been into this about the teeth before. I don't know if you were there that night, or it's probably been a couple nights I've mentioned it. The teeth thing that the vegans mentioned, where's your canines? Is complete bullshit. It misses out on so much crap. It's so uneducated, so illogical, missing so much. I mean, they assume so much. Take one look at the gelada baboon that has huge, gigantic fangs, but it eats nothing but grass. Well, that throws a little monkey wrench in your whole thing where you say, well, big old canines are for meat eaters. No, that's not necessarily the case. Gorillas have big canines, and they eat almost entirely foliage. They don't eat any animals. That water deer, I've talked about that before too. That Nikki mentioned, and Nikki saw. It's a deer, has these big old, their tusk is what they're referred to, but they look like big old fangs coming out of their mouth. Don't eat any meat. You know, so the teeth thing is just one of the many just misinterpretations of things that people have. Last 200 years with exception. Lucky, this is Homo sapien sapien. It's a play on words, Rufus. They called the documentary Homo Carnivorous because it was about humans as a carnivorous creature. Where it's just a play on words. Don't get too funky with me here. Based ideology is one size fits all biological form of humans makes not logic. There's going to be some slight variation across humanity. Yes. But the basic thing that we are is still a thing. Are you going to tell me, oh, well, you can't tell me all cows should eat grass because there's some variation amongst cows? That would be bullshit. Ruthless. That would be bullshit. All cows should eat grass. God damn it. Niagara Falls. Nope. Bro, eating potatoes, a potato once in a while is hardly something that is holding me back at any level. I'm not saying it is necessarily, but I'm saying that if you got rid of the potatoes, you would be slightly better off. You may not. It may be too subtle for you to notice, but you would be. Meat only. I ate meat only for 6 months. And let me tell you something. You just don't know until you've been down the road, man. You don't know. You are missing information, Ruthless. You are missing a whole bunch of information, Ruthless. Please get that through your head. You do not have enough information. So you're sitting here saying these things without information. Stop it. It's not, you're not, you eat 97.5% meat, please. Lucky anyone that trots out the trust me, nah, man, commit. Dude, whatever. See? Lucky, that's obfuscating issue and changing what you said, mate. Hypercarnivore isn't 100% meat. I said that, yes, but what I'm saying is that humans are designed to be more carnivorous than even bears. So we may be within the 75 to 100% range for hypercarnivore, but we're still in that range. Why are we even going on this? Lucky City Hypers. Dude, you're twisting things. Ruthless, do not fucking twist things in my fucking chat, okay? Do not fucking twist things. You're trying to twist shit. Stop it. We're not debating this. Fuck off. Ruthless, you liver rotten mosquitoes. Holy shit, dude. Why? Don't pull this bullshit with me, Ruthless. You're pulling this bullshit. Do not pull it with me. I'm not going to just take your bullshit. Yes, you are. You're fucking twisting things, Ruthless. Fuck. You didn't understand what I said. You did not understand what I said. And I don't want to go back over it so that you can't understand. Okay, I meant to stop a little while before this. So I do think it is time to stop. That would be that territory. I don't know if anyone got directly on it. Some of y'all got close. His ruthless carry. I don't know. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what. I don't see. This is the thing. He gets mad at me for him saying very imprecise things. I'd said something pretty damn precise, and then he tries to twist it to something that isn't. Hypercarnivore, a bear is considered a hypercarnivore at 75%. I said that, yes. I said humans are even more carnivorous than that. That's still hypercarnivore. It ain't like 75% only is hypercarnivore. Hypercarnivore is above, I think they consider 70% and above to be hypercarnivore. It's a range. It isn't exactly 75 goddamn percent. We absolutely do not need to eat any vegetation at all. I was in absolute so much better when I was eating nothing but meat. We do not need any vegetation at all. Any kind of thing you think, any kind of point you think you got to advocate for eating vegetation. Why this is a good thing. We need this. We do not need it. Absolutely do not need it. And almost anything that comes from a plant can be found to have something that is detrimental to humans to eat. So you need to go down this rabbit hole. See, I don't think you've been down this rabbit hole at all. Maybe you peeked your head in, looked around, said, I don't believe this bullshit. I'm not even going to study it hard enough to be able to talk about it as an informed person. Oops. Shit, chat just jumped on me. No consideration of the years of poison pumped into our foods. Remove that from the equation. Of course, body enjoys. Well, there's poisons from many sources. But the plants also contain poisons. Like the high oxalates in spinach, the sulforaphane in broccoli and cabbage and those kind of plants. They're not superfoods. They're not super health foods like they claim. They are actually toxic to us. And they don't do us any favor. What little nutrition they have is not very absorbable, or in some cases, not absorbable at all. Some of the plants have anti-nutrients in it, which is substances that make it where you can't absorb nutrition, even if you have meat next to it. So you could actually reduce the nutrition of the meat, not because it has less nutrition, but because you ate it with plants that have anti-nutrients in them that prevent you from absorbing the nutrients. I think I didn't ban Mank. He just kind of wandered off. I think he figured out wasn't going to put up with his crap. Paramedic only when he tries to flurf in monkey stream. When I go along, I get on police. Mr. Lee says, I had ribeye for dinner with portobello mushrooms and mozzarella and tomato salad. Yeah. See, Mr. Lee's still eating plants over here. I'm working on him. Smoke up your arse. Oh my God. You boys go cut me a switch. Yes, Miss Sandra. How shall I ever manage? Head desk. Mr. Lee. All right, Squatch America's been on for 31 minutes. They only stay on for an hour. I had intended to cut out before then. Did I say where this place was? This place is in the western half of North Dakota. You like plants, though. Cindy says, Ruthless, obviously anything I say is wrong today, but I am only making an observation as baseline. Don't throw shade as defense. Mr. Hugh. Welcome, Mr. Hugh, by the way. So, yep, I'm going to cut out happy not Thanksgiving, St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if I'm still in last year or I'm already in November in my head. I'm going to jump over and see what's going on Squatch America. And then, what is it, Thursday? If I'm still awake, I'll be at Moog's later. And thank y'all for coming. Maybe I was a little hard on Ruthless. Sorry. I've studied a whole lot about this, Ruthless. You have no idea. A whole lot. Like, a lot. It's unbelievable how much I've crammed in here. Need a extension cord. Bye, Cindy. Don't rush us back to winter. Yeah, sorry. Stay safe, sis. Good night. It's all good, Lucky. Stay safe, Cindy. See you later, Sandra. All right, everybody. Stay grounded. Stay free.